I believe that everyone can easily be reduced to psychology. I believe that, myself definitely included. We all can be easily reduced to psychology. This is how I live my life. And it gives me so much direction to understand. Really, there's 5 things, the way I see it. And yeah, I made this up. This is something I created. This is something that I've observed through my life. Here's what these 5 elements are. We all have ambitions. And I think separately we have motivations. Then we have fears. And then we also have anxieties. And then lastly, we have this concept of who we actually are and want to be. So I just want to break those down, because if you can understand what yours are, you can begin to understand what other people's are. So for example, let's just start with those again. So ambitions. We all have things we want to do with our lives and become, be known for. We have goals, things that propel us forward in life. And when you know what those are, it's easier for you to live your life. But at the same time, if you can figure out what other people's ambitions are, a lot of times it actually helps you in your interactions with them to figure out, and not to assume that everyone's motivated by the same thing. Certain people are definitely motivated by money. Others are absolutely not. Some people just want respect and esteem more so than money. So it's this idea that, okay, I have my own ambitions, but that's not necessarily somebody else's. Number 2, motivations. I feel that they're ultimately different. You have your ambitions, your dreams, your goals, but your motivations, what actually causes you to want to even have that ambition to begin with, what ultimately psychologically motivates you to reach your ambitions and your dreams. And I think all these go back to our identity. The third one I talked about, fear. Everybody has some kind of fear, and largely it's irrational, the fear, whatever it is. But if we can understand and accept that we all have fears, well, if you can name your fears, then you're already a step in the right direction, because you can maybe even realize that your fears are irrational to begin with, and you're worrying about something that hasn't happened yet and may never happen, and when you really think of it, definitely won't happen. But everybody has their own fears, and again, your fears are probably different than a lot of other people's fears, so you can't assume that it's going to be the same. Anxiety. I understand that fear and anxiety are largely connected there, but I think there can be a difference between what really terrifies us versus just what sort of preoccupies us as far as anxiety goes, where it's not fear, but instead it's a major distraction in the back of our mind. And again, once we can label this and identify it, we can understand ourselves better. And then lastly, to reduce ourselves to psychology, we all have these ideas of who we are. Like I've said it many times, most people think this about themselves: I'm a good person. And that's the majority for most people. It's what I call the morality delusion. For me, I definitely do not see myself as a good person. I don't believe in good and bad people as far as by human standards. So see, I shared something that's part of my identity, my concept of who I am. Doesn't mean that most people don't agree with what I just said, but that's something that is very dear to me and that I can even celebrate, because I know that's what's making me who I am. So for me, and just in the concept of emotional intelligence, and I've said this before, studies have shown that people with higher IQs do not necessarily make more money than people who have what I have, which is emotional intelligence, EQ. Studies are coming out and showing this, and I can even tell you that the job that I got about a year ago, I am making so much more money than I did before. But it took my old job learning all this emotional intelligence stuff so that I could basically talk my way through the job interview to get the job that I have now. And even to be good at my job now requires me to understand and reduce other people to psychology. Because even for me, what I do for a living, even in the negotiation process, which is what I basically do all day long, I'm negotiating with people. I always think, okay, what is motivating this person? What's ultimately their goal? And I know that it's probably gonna be different than the last person, but what is it? And then once I figure out what it is, I target in on that. I target in on whatever that thing is, and I just simply focus on that with less words probably than they're using, because then they're finally hearing the thing that they want to hear, because it somehow caters to their fears, anxieties, motivations, etc. I love reducing people to psychology, especially myself. I think if we don't recognize this, that we're all very predictable, and yes, people change, but ultimately people are very predictable. And I love to use this as an example. On an hourly basis, I get comments on my videos. Some of these videos being years old, a couple years old now. On an hourly basis, I am left videos that people tell me that I'm ignorant, wrong, or immoral. They leave a paragraph to say that. And I'm like, okay, well, that's how they feel about themselves. They have a high conflict personality where they're needing to try to feel like they're right and the other person is wrong. That's a part of their identity. That's what motivates them, which is why I simply say, I am immoral, I am wrong, I am ignorant. And my newest favorite, you're right. So I'm just giving them really what they're looking for, what they're needing for in their life. That broken person that they are, that very naive and lacking much emotional intelligence, that's where they're at in life. I'm not here to tell them that they're an idiot. I'm just meeting them at their level. And knowing these things that I know, that I'm sharing in this video, have definitely improved my life. To me, this stuff is gold, and I understand it's never going to be a popular video on YouTube. But for the few people who watch videos like this is probably the best way that you can spend 7 minutes. Got comments? They belong right here.